All right. Welcome back. Episode 5, the Chris Schlehlein Experience. I'm your host, Chris Schlehlein. My co-host to the left, Brandon Neckel. And we're welcoming on an extremely special guest. This man is known for his air horn dynamics in the locker room. He's a former DJ Eddie Love. And now he is down residing in Florida, hopefully golfing every day, and will be on the senior tour soon enough. Welcome onto the show, prolonged third baseman, Ed Sedar. Ed, welcome to the show.
Welcome, everyone. I doubt if I'll be a pro golfer anytime soon.
How's the golf game looking?
Golf game's looking okay. You know, they say I'm a scratch golfer because after people see me hit the ball, they're scratching their head going, why did we invite this guy?
That's awesome. You know, I'm right there with you, Ed. Golf game's 50-50 right now, but we just go out there for the good vibes, which is something I know you like.
Oh, yeah. Nope. It's a good day to spend time with friends and have a little, fun as you do it.
Of course. And, starting off in kind of your early years of your career, when did you first start playing baseball when you were younger? And what was the moment that you knew that you'd be able to do it for a career professionally?
I probably started playing baseball along with all the other sports at a very young age. And I don't know, our teams, we went to the Bronco League World Series. We were pretty good. And then all of a sudden we won the Coat League World Series back when I was coming up. And then we went to the American Legion World Series. So I was a part of a bunch of good baseball teams, and not saying I was on the best of each team, but one of the best. And then in high school, I think we might have been ranked second or first. And, I was recruited for football as well. And then a lot of the teams that wanted me for football were saying, we don't know pretty much about your baseball skills or anything like that. So I'm going, what? Did they even look into me? So then I went to junior college to play baseball. And then all of a sudden I was drafted after my freshman year out of the junior college.
Wow. And so what was that draft process like then for you back then?
Back then they had what was known as the winter draft in baseball. And I believe it was for like junior college players, college fourth year seniors, and people that were already drafted before. So I don't know, it's something that doesn't exist anymore, but I'm glad it existed back then.
It definitely helped.
And along with that, after, playing for a little while, when did you kind of think, hey, I want to get into coaching and kind of transition into that part of the career?
It kind of came about in instructional league. They still do this now, but I remember in 1 year in instructional league where they take your top players and bring them all together. And when I was with the White Sox then, so Bobby Winkles was taking over, and he just must have sat there and watched me. And then afterwards, or in a group setting, it's going, Eddie, you're going to make a pretty good coach one day. And I'm going, yeah, but I'm still playing. He goes, well, you kind of have reckless abandon where you really are out there giving it your all, where you need to maybe tone it down a little. I think he was trying to get me, hey, tone it down. Maybe you'll last a little longer, but I actually couldn't tone it down. And actually it made sense because he saw me always helping out others, on the field and doing stuff like that. So I guess maybe that's when it sank into my head. And then when the White Sox, after I'd been hurt, hurt again, like 2 or 3 years in a row, the White Sox asked me to be a player coach. And I said, yeah, I'll try it out. And that's where it all started.
Wow. So you're almost the Bill Russell of the minor leagues.
I don't think I was on that high of a plateau.
Sure.
So also kind of in those years, we know you were invited to a base running camp in the early 90s. What was that like with Robin and some of those other guys and that experience? And did that kind of jumpstart the Brewers career?
Oh, yeah. It was my actually first year with the Brewers, and all of a sudden Phil Garner, the manager now, this is, I believe, 92. Yep, my first year, all of a sudden calls me over and goes, Eddie, we'd like you to come do base running as well as outfield. I'm going, okay, that's cool. He goes, no, with the major league team. And I'm going, uh-oh. And this is, you had Robin, Paul Molitor, Vaughn, he was just starting a hand bone. I mean, you had a good group of brewers that were, I'm just sitting there going, okay, I'll go over there. And as I was trying to go through my spiel and everything, it was kind of cool because you had Robin asking me questions and stuff. And hopefully I answered him well. I must have, because he still remembered me coming over that day.
Do you still keep in touch with Robin today?
At times when we go to the fantasy camp, I still do that for the Brewers. Well, Bill Schroeder has the fantasy camp. I've been doing that ever since my first year of coaching in the major leagues. And Robin, we stay in touch that way. And plus, he always loved Marcia, my wife's baking. So he's always trying to stay close in case Marcia bakes any treats to bring in.
Wow. And do you have any stories with Robin on or off the field that stick out to you?
Not necessarily, but like I said, the story of Phil Gardner inviting me over, I'm a rookie coach, and all of a sudden I'm invited to Major League Camp to go over how to teach these guys how to play outfield and go over drills and do base running and do all that with them. It was pretty good how I don't know if they were just being nice, but they were listening and running through all my drills. But the Robin stories, I don't know. Is this, can I go over? I know one time Robin, like I said, Marcia was known for her baking and everything. So I'm sure she's the only one. She's actually sitting off to the side right now. But I'm sure she's the only one maybe in the world that has an autographed Robin Yount jockstrap. And on the jockstrap says, Marcia, thanks for everything. You drive me nuts, Robin Yount.
So I'm sure that's hanging on the wall in your bedroom?
Oh, yeah, it hangs in the lobby, not in the bedroom. I kind of try and keep Robin out of the bedroom area.
As one should. One should.
So I got to ask, what was your favorite, what's your favorite thing that she bakes, or maybe that she did for some of the players? Was there kind of a certain thing she was known for, or just in general?
Oh, no. I mean, each player had their own individual thing. Like maybe I'll reel it off because she's sitting in the kitchen right now doing a little work. So I'll reel off a name and she'll probably come back with because the players would all come in as, okay, is it my week for Marcia's baking this week? And we're talking about, this will be pretty good. We're going to start with, let's go with JJ Hardy, hun. Caramel chocolate bars were JJ Hardy. Let's go Prince Fielder.
7-layer bars.
The 7-layer bars. Can you guys, you guys can hear her, I can tell. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit, yes.
Probably some Corey Hart.
All the bars.
Anything Marcia bakes. Corey Hart.
Everything, okay.
I'm trying to remember. So Colton Wong wasn't in the treats. Oh, I know what they are. Is it Amish friendship bread? So I bought it in and offered it to Colton Wong, and he's gone, I'm not really into treats. And so I go, okay, but it's kind of a bread, Colton. You might want to try it. So he goes, okay, I'll try it. So I leave the room, put a little piece of bread on there, leave the room, and all of a sudden I come in, and all of a sudden there's 2 more pieces of bread on there. I go, oh, so Colton, you're kind of liking the Amish friendship bread. He goes, I don't know if this is considered a treat, but this is awesome. So almost everything she came in where I would set stuff up, deliver it to the training room so they could get some. By the time I made it back into the players' eating area, a la cafeteria or whatever, all the treats would be gone. So it has to tell you, people would come in and take extras, and it would all be gone. I'm sure the strength and conditioning guys weren't very happy with me on those days.
Right.
Did Bronny have a favorite?
Did Bronny have a favorite, hun?
You know what? No, he was pretty disciplined, but he tried it.
He was very disciplined. He might have been the ones that would say no, and then I would see him up there as I would walk by looking in going, oh, so you are up at the treat pile.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. And so going back to when you started to manage in the early days, I I know you took pride in being like some of the prolific Brewers prospects' first manager. What made you take such pride in coaching those players?
It was kind of neat. The Brewers kind of wanted me there, even through the organizational changes. I think I went through 4 different organizational changes in my 30 years where it's complete. Everything's completely overhauled and everything. But, I would work as the outfield and base running coordinator, as well as the field coordinator, where I did, design the spring training schedules, each team schedules. But then they would have me go manage the rookie ball team, and that'd be after the draft. Everyone would report to me and go through me, since I was the guy that kind of ran the minor leagues as far as on-field stuff goes and the rules, whatever we did. So I don't know, it was kind of neat to have everyone's, either you were in the years that I wouldn't manage, or sometimes they'd give me a break. I would still be there for after you drafted. I would be the first person you met at your first camp in professional baseball, either your first spring training or your first rookie ball camp, June camp after you signed. So I was kind of like one of the first person you would meet as far as on-field stuff went.
So obviously some of these guys coming in too, you expect certain guys, they're higher prospects, obviously Braun, high draft pick. But even so, was there time just seeing these guys where you could tell like these guys are going to be really good players at the major league level? Getting to see them so young.
Oh yeah, you could just tell by, like you said, you brought up the Bronny or whatever, all the number 1 picks, you could see that, or very high picks. But it was cool seeing the other ones going, oh, this guy might make a little, might make some money in the big leagues at some time, seeing like being able to see everybody. And like I said, not only the number 1 draft picks, but being able to, okay, keep an eye on this guy, and you never know. And that was probably some of the funnest parts of doing my job.
So, and then getting into that a little bit, I know some of the bus rides were pretty long for you guys when you were in Helena. Do you have any maybe terror stories or bus ride stories when you guys were going across the country or anything like that?
Let's see. We have a story. We were in Ogden, in the Ogden years. We were playing in Idaho Falls and heading up to Montana. And we were in Montana, and all of a sudden, like the alarm starts going on in the bus where we have to pull over, where someone's peeking out saying, I think the rear end of the bus is on fire. The bus driver had left the parking brake on. We were driving with that. So anyways, we have to unload the bus and everything. This is a pretty cool story. It gets better. We had to unload the bus, get everything off. And now we're sitting there, and happened to be a Northern Lights night, and we're in Montana. So we're all laid, off the side of the road, way off the side, have all the stuff off the bus, and are able to watch the Northern Lights until the bus company can get another bus there to finish our time heading up. So I don't know. That was a pretty good one.
That's a story that starts off very bad, but you know
Yep.
what? At least you got to see a sight with the Northern Lights.
Yep, and having the whole team out, laying on equipment bags, just looking up, staring at the lights. It was pretty impressive. Like I said, we were there for probably an hour to 2 hours, because I'm sure another bus wasn't available as quickly as you would think back then. And I can remember, we were leaving Canada, maybe might have been Lethbridge or Medicine Hat, and my team hadn't played very well. And one of the players had asked from the back, are we stopping to eat? And I let them know, you guys made me too sick to eat. So we didn't eat until we crossed the border back in the United States. But that was the plan all along. But I made it seem like I was a little too upset to eat. But that was a pretty good one too. But we knew we weren't stopping till we got across, because who knows what happens if you stop in Canada with a group of ball players. So we knew we were stopping when we got across, but I just wanted to make it, no, we're not stopping. You guys make me too sick to eat after watching you.
That's awesome. You got to put a little fear in them or a little,
Yeah, just to know. And they're probably going, Eddie's a little psychotic, so we better let him rest up there.
Right.
And Eddie too, when you were in Utah, I heard you tore your rotator cuff, and while you were coaching JJ and Corey, but you still stuck out the season and you flipped around the net and you started throwing sidearm. What was the thought process like to prolong surgery and say, you know what, I'm going to keep throwing the full season?
Well, because I was a big guy on, because in baseball you play 162 in 180 days. So these guys had to go from playing every weekend, whether it was high school or college, or playing twice a week and everything. And so I made it aware. I go, and remember, anybody can play when they feel good. And so I had to since I brought that in one of my first speeches, I can't not throw. So I throw from sidearm. And like you said, I had to turn the L screen around. And the only thing that was exposed on my follow through was my ankle because it stuck out. And I was hit there like 7 or 8 times during the year, where eventually I kind of had to ask the guys, are you guys trying to hit me by hitting balls up the middle and stuff like that? They still say to this day they weren't, but I kind of look at it that maybe they were. In hindsight, it was kind of cool because I threw from down under, and Idaho Falls' best pitcher threw from down under, and he was one of the best pitchers in the league, and we always hit him. And one day he saw us taking batting practice, and he called me over. I figured it out. That's why your team hits me and no other team can. You throw from where I throw from and no one else does. So it kind of worked out for the best. Yeah, but I was going, hey, if I tell the guys anybody can do it when they feel good, I better come up with something. And it didn't hurt as long as I didn't raise up here. It didn't hurt my shoulder anymore, and they said I couldn't do any more damage, but would they have told me anyways? I don't know.
No. Yeah. Well, and what did the players think after you told them that speech and then you're throwing sidearm? What did they think after watching you do it and stick it out for the season?
Yeah, they were probably going, okay, I'm not feeling very good today, but I'm sure I'm not going to go up to Eddie and go, Eddie, I can't play today. I'm not 100%. I'm going 100%. I haven't been 100% since I signed. That was a Robin Yount story, because I got that from Robin Yount one day. One of the rookies, Dale Swaim, Robin Yount, and I are in the locker room, and one of the rookies in spring training, I think Robin is we're more on the coaching now, but one would come, I'm not 100%. I think I can take a look. I need the day off. And Robin goes, 100%. I haven't been 100% since I signed, the first day I signed. So that kind of stuck in my head going, oh, that would be a good one to use if someone like Robin Yount's using it, a Hall of Famer, MVP in 2 different positions in the major leagues. I'm going, oh, I might use that one. So I probably brought that out a couple times.
Well, no, that's a funny story. And you could say that he was kind of a mentor in a way of that saying. When you started coaching, did you kind of have any people that took you under the wing, or maybe that you looked up to, or kind of a mentor to you that you think helped you along the way, whether it was as a manager or then, once you were coaching third base?
I'm trying to think. Yeah. When I first started, it was basically Tim Dillard's dad. I'm sure you've had Tim Dillard. You probably have had him on the show, would be my guess. Mm-hmm. But Steve Dillard was was my manager when I was a player coach back in South Bend, Indiana with the White Sox. And so Tim's dad had he would have me at third base, coaching third base, and it'd be kind of fun because all of a sudden he'd call time and all of a sudden he would, Eddie, your pitch hitting. I'm going, oh my God, I've been sitting just coaching third for 7 innings pitch hit. So I probably struck out and then would go back and coach third. But, Tim's dad, Steve, had a big, he allowed me to go and do my stuff. And he actually told me, he goes, hey, you've been doing, if I'm actually watching you play and with your teammates, you've been kind of doing some coaching already. So I would still stay with that, what you do. and you're going to be just fine being a coach. So Tim Dillard's dad, tip your hat to Steve Dillard. He was the one that kind of taught me how to, was the first one I coached under was Tim Dillard's dad, Steve. And there were a lot of other helpers, like I said, Rob and Dale Swaim when he was when I was still in the minor leagues, coaching in the minors. Dale and Ned Yost and all those guys were in the big leagues. I would go and help out, of course, with the outfielders and base running, just like I did when Phil Gardner was there. So yeah, they had a lot. They had a lot to do with it as well. So a lot of hands were in there, creating the monster.
Yeah, right. I guess one thing too I've kind of wondered is, obviously you're going to kind of manage the team a certain way, but did you have specific players where you knew you had to approach them differently, whether maybe they're like a little more sensitive or, you got to be really tough on a guy? Like, was that approach ever something, whether it's in the minors or once you were, even with the Brewers?
Oh yeah. You always need to do that. Like you said, you couldn't treat everyone, as far like the hammer and the guy, maybe he wasn't yelling and everything. Maybe that wasn't his cup of tea. So you kind of knew to, approach it a different way, like maybe start with a positive first and then go ahead with your, okay, this is what you did wrong in there, and then always finish with the positive. Or you could have Gomez, you'd go, what the heck, Gomi? Carlos Gomez go, what, Eddie, what do you want? I'm going, you can't do that. He's going, okay, I won't. And then, so you just had to look and learn and see which of them reacted to one way and reacted to another way. And but I think they really appreciated was everyone was treated the same. I had rules: run the ball out. If you don't make it down the first in 5 seconds, you were yanked out. You sat out 3 games. Didn't matter who you were or whatever. And Prince always loved that because even in the big leagues, you couldn't do that, of course, because there's way too much on the line. But all through the minors, I made it happen, even as far as which way you would wear your uniforms. And they would go, and if you caught doing that, it would be the same thing no matter who you were. And I remember Prince because I remember, calling out somebody for not hustling in a big league game. I'm not going to bring up a name, but Prince was on in the dugouts going, after I had done it, he goes, that was one of the most awesome things I have ever seen at the major league level. Because I guess it doesn't happen very often. And I was just going, hey, we still got to, no matter what, still got to hustle. You never know what's going to happen. And show up. That effort knows no score. That's just the way I brought, the Prince there and all those guys coming up. That's the way they were brought up. No matter what, hey, I'm hustling and I'm running the ball out.
Well, I think they had to stick with those guys for a lot of their career as well. And, looking back on your hire to be the first base coach for the Brewers in 2007, to me, it almost seems like it was like divine intervention kicking in because you coached many of those players down to the minors. How did you view it at the time when you got the job? Oh yeah.
And that was the thing, I was in the minors and that job was at the end of the 2006 season. I was running the instructional league where we brief all the top players, and they were going, Eddie, we kind of want you to interview for the first base job. And I was going, I'm fine doing what I'm doing right now. I love doing what I'm doing right now, developing, bringing them up. They go, no, we really want you to interview. And I'm going, okay, I'll go interview. So I went to the interview and everything. And, Ned was there, Doug Melvin, everybody was there. Dan O'Brien, got to tip my hat to Dan O'Brien. He put me through, he was our assistant GM. And before the interview, put me through a fake interview process where he goes, here's what you bring up and everything. And I'm going, but I'm talking about myself. He goes, that's what you need to do right here. I'm going, not very good at that. He goes, okay, here's what you do. So he wrote it through. It was just so awesome. He was in the interview process and I'm going, so it made it a lot easier. And they said, okay, we'll get back to you. We'll get back to you on this. And I'm going, okay, no worries. So anyways, now Ned calls me and goes, Eddie, we went over, you did a great interview and everything, but everyone was here just wondering. He goes, we were wondering what the Brewers minor leagues would be like if we took you away from there. You're the outfield and base running coordinator. You're the field coordinator. You run all of Milwaukee Brewers, what goes on the field. A lot of people call you the coordinator of instruction, where everything runs through you. And then last but not least, you manage the teams after the draft. And I'm going, yeah, I agree with you. They would have to come up with hiring people, and Ned would go, well, they would have to probably hire 4 people to do that. I'm going, yeah, they would. So I agree with you. And he goes, well, then they'll have to start looking for 4 people to take over your job because you're coming to join us. And I was going, okay, that's awesome. Then I'm going, yeah. So that's how it all happened. But his presentation, and I'm on the phone going, yeah, I agree with it. I was thinking, I'm going, okay, they're going to just say good job, but you're more important down there and everything. So went off pretty good after, 15 years later until I retired. It was pretty good thought process by Ned and the rest of the organization down there.
No, obviously that was, I'm sure at the time, an exciting move, and then to, fuel the rest of your career as a coach is really cool. One question I did also want to ask that came to my mind was, there's actually a video or 2 of you on YouTube with people, it says heckling Ed Sedar, people yelling at you, when you're coaching third. I'm sure a lot of the time you don't hear them, but was there ever times when, obviously you have your back turned, could you hear people trying to yell stuff at you and, just not turning around? Or what's that like? Because I feel like that's a whole nother realm of stuff that goes on in the game that, fans don't really understand.
Oh, yeah. No, you hear them no matter what they say. You hear them. I remember when I went from first over to third, Dale Swain was going, hey, you're going to be here. If you send the guy and he scores, everyone in the world's going to be going, I would have done that. Of course I would have done that. No matter if it's no one else in the world would have sent them right there and he scored. Yeah, I would have done that. That's easy. And then if they're thrown out, what was he doing? I never would have sent them. So Dale kind of filled me in. So you kind of block all that out, Eddie, and you just ask the manager what he wants and everything. And I had managers, Ron Renicky, hey, you be aggressive out there. And I would go, okay, I'm going to be aggressive. And, everyone, a lot of things go into that. Back in those years, you got the pitcher spot coming up, the 8th or 9th hitter coming up. So if there's a runner on second and the 7 hitters hitting, you're going, okay, if I don't send them, they're going to walk the next guy. And then we got the 8th and pitching spot coming up. I'm sure I'm going to be heckled. I got to sponge them out what they're yelling at me. But it was pretty good because they would yell and everything. And every time I'd run out there, sometimes I'd bring treats to them. And sometimes I would, I just had to take it in and take the good with the bad, which I became, I don't know, I became kind of good doing. I remember in San Francisco one time, someone just ripping me as I was running off the field, and all of a sudden now Niger Morgan's next to me telling you shut up, but he wants to go up into the stands to fight this guy because he was yelling at him. I go, Niger, it's all right. They yell at me all the time. I'm used to it, but it was kind of cool. Niger's going, shut up. I'm going to come up there. I'm going, Niger, we're okay. We're okay. Yeah. But as far as hearing the heckling and all that, yep. But you kind of got to have a thick skin when you're a third base coach out there.
I imagine.
Is that your favorite Niger Morgan story, or is there another one that comes to mind? Niger's one of my favorite Brewers as well.
Oh, yeah, Niger. And that because, the 2011, the base hit up the middle, sending Carlos Gomez to score the run that sends us to an NLDS. Meanwhile, SportsCenter's all over me because I'm cheering and jumping, heading my way to left field. And they're going, where the heck is Eddie going? So, but that was Niger. That was awesome. Niger's awesome Niger story. When he first joined us, I remember being in spring training. It was towards the end of spring training, and it was, of course, the Ron Renicky years, and we were going, we're introducing Niger Morgan to the team. Niger, welcome. And we were kind of like, not a lot of swearing happened back then, in the locker room and everything. And Niger's going, hey, welcome to be here with you, beep, beep, beep. And I'm looking forward to beep, beep. And I'm just going, holy cow, this is going to be fun. So it was kind of because he didn't really know what goes on, but he was awesome guy. Always, you didn't have to, like I said, through my years, I was pretty lucky because as far as hustling, the guys that came up through me, team that come over here, and you got to tip your hat right now, Murph and the boys, the rest of the coaches have, those guys are always hustling, which makes them fun to watch. They're base running first to third, not only stolen bases, but always hustling. And that's why they're fun to watch on the days where I get to watch them. So it's kind of pretty cool. Reminds me of the young Brewer days, when we had Prance, the Corey Hart, JJ, Braun, all those guys, Ricky. I'm sure Ricky brings up, hey, let's go. You know what? And they're showing signs of those teams back then, and those were pretty fun teams to watch.
Very. And I wanted to touch on something, especially with some of those teams. You were bringing up the celebrations before. Where did the dab celebration come from back in the day when they were rounding third?
Oh, they would come up with all kinds of things, and I'd be going, okay, you really want me to do that? That was Orlando Arcia. This one?
Yeah, yep.
That was Orlando Arcia. You had the Brawny who wanted me to jump up, try and get as high as I could. And the one picture, I think it's a pretty big home run. It might have been something to clinch where he's way up there, but the people were saying I was pretty close to being up there with him. But yeah, they would come up counting wogs, to have the ham in the hand out. And then when it came back, see ya. That was a pretty good one. But there were some good ones. Prince and I had the hard slam where we would scream out success at each other. So, because that was always a thing for me. And we're always remember success, peace, success. He's going success. We would always do that. But there were all kinds where I'd be going, you really want me to do that? And they'd go, yeah, this will be kind of fun. I go, okay, I'm in. So I would let them do whatever they do. And now I see a lot of things happening out there that I'm going, wow, they do stuff like that. So I'm good.
Yeah.
And yes, I did just say do.
Well, I got to ask one more about kind of those guys. Obviously, you look like you always had a really good relationship with Brawny, even if you stayed away from some of the bakery stuff. Are you guys still in touch? How close are you guys? And is there any specific, big memory out, either whether it's outside of baseball or just from coaching him, that you remember with Ryan?
Yep. Brawny and I just text back and forth the other day for Father's Day because he has the big enshrinement coming up at the end of July. So we'll see each other then. My wife, Marcia, and his mom, and as well as his wife are pretty good friends and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. But I remember I had brought, like I said, I was the first person they had to meet in pro ball. And I remember Brawny, we were in Helena, Montana, and Brawny was only going to be with me for a week. We already knew that. He was one of the best players in college, just came to think they actually sent him to me because we ran over, he was at third base then. We ran over drills where I was able to do all that and had him. And like I said, I ran the minor leagues as far as on-field stuff goes. And I had to, before my day started with my team, I had to go over all this, who did what in the AAA. Okay, so-and-so, did he do his drills or whatever? So keep track of every person in our organization. And Brawny was on the team, and all of a sudden, there's a knock on my door. It's Brawny. I go, yeah, Brawny, what you want? He goes, I had a question for you today, Eddie. Can I use my home run swing today? And I kind of was sitting there. Now I'm going over every player in the organization. I'm sitting there going, okay, we're thinking to myself, what kind of a question is this? I'm going, Brawny, you do what you feel like. Do what you do. Yep, do whatever you want. And then so he left, and I'm doing the stuff, and I'm looking at his stats. He's hitting like 600. And I'm going, but I had a thing, after we drafted players, we didn't touch them. I mean, our scouts saw something in them. I go, you didn't touch them. They had to go around through our minor leagues for at least a year with doing what they did, unless they came up and asked you stuff. But I'm still looking, going, he's hitting 667. I'm going, okay, whatever. So now where I believe now this is where I might have been his first at bat or his second at bat, but he homers that night. Wow. And as he's coming around first base, he's going, what do you think of the home run swing? And giving me a high five. I'm just going, well, this guy might be pretty good. That was a pretty good Bronny. Yeah, but yep, I'm looking forward to the event. I guess we're all going to be on the field. I know Corey Hart and I were, well, Chris, we were just at the Lombardi Foundation Cancer event, golfing event. And Corey Hart's going to be there. So I'm anxious to see how many people are there. I'm sure there'll be quite a bit. But yeah, looking forward to that. Like Bronny brought back plenty of many memories. He brought probably a lot bigger memory of home runs than that run in rookie ball, which he probably doesn't remember the day where he, hey, can I use my home run swing tonight? Yeah.
That might be an interesting thing to ask him if he remembers that.
Yeah, if he remembers asking me that. Can I use that? Yeah, I might have to bring that up.
So that's cool.
It's awesome. And, going off more awesome things that you've been a part of, when did you originally debut the air horn? And who was the first person that you remember scaring? And do you have a best reaction that you recall from bringing it out?
I probably will not remember, but the air horn came about because I would definitely need it at our spring training sites where when it was time, like I said, I made all the schedules, ran the spring trainings. If you had heard 2 beeps, it would mean we're 2 minutes away from doing rotation. 1 beep would mean to rotate. And this went on forever, but I might have started pretty early in my days because I would sneak around and in the locker rooms in the morning and come around through the back door and sneak around and have it held behind my back and just say hi to people if there were people not paying attention to me. That's when we would get them with the old air horn, and I would blow it. They go, shit, Eddie, what are you doing? And I'm going 2 minutes. We have 2 minutes till our meeting, man. So get ready. But it became traditional thing. Vinny Rotino has me tape it every day in fantasy baseball. But if you see those, if you're able to watch some of those and everything, it would be the same in our spring training days as well. Because I just took our spring training days, tried to make fantasy baseball just like the spring training. So I would do a lot of similar things like that. Would get some dirty looks from some of the big time players that weren't morning people, but they would laugh about it because we would get them on film as well, and they would kind of know it after giving me the look or whatever, wanting to rip my head off, and then they'd look and start laughing because they knew they were on video. So it started a ways back, but as far as you'd maybe get with Vinny, he probably has some vintage ones. As far as the fantasy camper goes, I'm not sure if any of them were videos invented when I first started. I don't. Brandon, you might have a couple from your couple years with us helping us out.
Yeah, I don't remember the air horn ever being busted out. One question I was going to ask, it's a little off topic, but since you brought it up, so I got to ask now, how's the grass looking? Because I know we always talked about your nice green grass in Florida. You love maintaining that?
Oh, the grass here in Wisconsin, Florida, okay. It's kind of a condo, but we have my grass is looking very well. I'd look for, ask for any help besides the help my wife, Marcia, would give me, but I would ask help the groundskeepers. I'm going, here, I got this going on. I got that going on. They would order me the stuff to put on. I'd pay for them. If any of the brewer people, front office is listening, I paid for my stuff. But anyways, I would have the bags and people would be, the player, what are you doing with the bags of fertilizer or whatever? I would go to the top people. I go, they get this grass so good, so they're going to help me get my grass good. And it always helped because I don't know, Marsh, are you in here still? Yeah. Yep. Best grass in the neighborhood, I think, when we were in the village of Merton.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down, I'm voting. Yep. Marcia says, yep. She throws out, people would stop by and comment.
That's awesome. That's how you know you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And Eddie, we talked about the 2011 season a little bit, and obviously for us Brewer fans, that was pretty special. What was it like for you in that locker room and for that season? Did you know that team was different compared to others?
Oh yeah, that was a pretty good team, and kind of resembled, we could hit homers to beat you, steal bases to beat you. But that was when the pitchers still hit, and we would do the safety squeeze, suicide squeezes. Teams didn't know what was going to happen to them, going first to third, always hustling. Then I said back to the homers. We would hit homers, played great defense. I mean, it was pretty impressive to watch, and I didn't even get to the pitching. You had great Greinke, Markham, and people don't realize that kind of sad in the sixth game, I think it was the sixth game, or it might have been the seventh game, whatever game it was, Markham was hurt, but he still wanted to go out there. He had hurt his foot, and we tried to give it a go, and just because he had been such a big part of the thing and everyone was on board, I go, all right, Sean, you go ahead and do what you can do, and couldn't push off his foot and everything, and we sent him out there. Yeah, we lost, and that was it. But he had to go with the people who brought you, and he wanted a shot at going out there, and it was kind of awesome. But yeah, I don't know how many people or if it was even brought up, but yeah, had a little injury problem. But that was an awesome team to watch. Like I said, he's great pitching, and some of our pitchers could hit, like base running, power. We ran the gamut of it where you didn't know what was going to happen against us.
Yeah, no, that team was incredible. I mean, you even got Randy Wolf on that staff too. He was a great hurler. I loved him, and George Kataris too, right?
Yes, we did. Yep, it was all. Yep, you could name a lot of people that, and everyone can. Like I said, it was a team where you would get contributions from everybody, and like I said, kind of resembling this team the Brewers got going for them now. Like I said, base running was a big part of that 2011. Come on, you had Niger, you had Gomi, Brawny stole, everyone in, you name it, they stole bases first to third. It's not only stealing bases when I talk up base running, first to thirds, suicide squeezes, safety squeezes. The pitchers were involved in producing runs, so it was kind of fun, kind of baseball back then, but it was kind of fun to watch, and the way that team executed, you got to tip your hat to Ron Reineke. He's the one that made that all happen. It was pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I remember 2018 was one of my favorite seasons with the Brewers. Obviously, it was electric. And I remember exactly where I was for game 163, because where I went to school, it was a bunch of Illinois people along with Wisconsin. So we had a nice clash of Cubs versus Brewers. What was that game like for you, and what do you remember most about that day?
Remember most about that day? Yeah, we won, all fun, but during the celebration, game 163, celebrating at Wrigley Field. I mean, you couldn't have just taken the picture sitting there going, yep, we did that, making them fly the L flag. Did they fly the L flag that day? They probably didn't bring it out, but I know they had one. But anyways, just being inside going game 163, you play the whole year and you're going, we got to play one more game. Let's go and do it. And going to do it at against the Cubs in Wrigley Field, afterwards taking all the pictures, celebrating, like I said, with my wife, Marsha, with all the families, the kids celebrating on their field. Probably couldn't ask of a better moment than game 163. That's the moment. What was yours favorite, Chris?
Oh, man. I think maybe not favorite moment, but my favorite photo that sticks out, and I got Josh to sign it back in the day, was when Josh Hader had the division champ sign walking around on the field. To me, that's like one of the most iconic.
No, that's funny because just like all the moments in the game, yeah, they had them, but just to see, like I remember there's one in our locker room where I'm holding it up to and just doing this, in the backdrop, not amongst all the big time people, but doing that in the backdrop. But yeah, that's what it's all about, watching everything that you've worked for as a team to watch the celebration and watch it all go on. And like I said, very important. All the families were involved as well out on the field. So pretty impressive that game 163.
It's always great to beat the Cubs too. I want to throw that in there.
Oh yeah. And at Wrigley, I don't think you couldn't even, if someone was writing a book, you couldn't dream up of a way to end that one.
No. And do you think that sticks out as one of the better moments, 30 years with the Brewers? You don't see that nowadays, the longevity and staying with one organization. So is that one of your top moments, or is there something else that really sticks out to you? Or, what was it like being with the Brewers for so long?
Oh yeah. And that one, like you said, game 163, I brought up the sending Niger, sending Gomez in on Niger's hit. And sent us to in 2011 and a year. And then the 2008 thing with CC, when CC came in and met the team in the locker room, a lot of memories. And then watching what he did, he had just had a complete game. I don't know, probably shutout knowing CC. And actually I was in Dale's office and went in the Dale's office. He goes, I got game one. And we were going, no, there'd be 3 days rest. You just went 9 innings. He goes, no, I got game one. And we're going, okay. So I see she wants it, but you're going to be a free agent. Anything he goes, and we're going to try to go, I got game one. And we're going, okay. So we got that figured out. So it was kind of, a lot of good memories and everything like that. And to pick a favorite, we just mentioned 3 of the favorites, but great time. Like I said, probably some of the good times was having I almost called them my kids, but having the players in the minor leagues, all of a sudden being called up to the big leagues in 2007 and watching those guys grow from minor leagues to the major leagues and then growing as major league players, whether they moved on or stayed with us, was pretty awesome to watch.
So I got one more that kind of might.
Keep saying you got one more, Brandon.
Sorry. Well, before we kind of wrap into the quick hitters, but along those lines, kind of with the memories, there is that point in time, with Hank the dog being a big figure for the Brewers. Could you talk a little bit about that? I know we've kind of heard some of the stories, but how that came about and was such a Brewer staple for many years, actually. Yeah,
Hank became a big story that I can remember in the off season after the year that the Hank story came up, in the off season, sitting back, might have even been in Florida watching some show where Hank was the story of the year on some awards. I'm going, you got to be kidding me. So it was a pretty big thing. It all became about, I arrived at work. I was usually one of the first ones there because I had to, make sure the fields were set up with Jason Chager, Tony Migliaccio, whoever. I had to go over that, because I ran the schedules. But anyways, the first person I would see every day was Butch, the head security guy. And all of a sudden, so I'd go in the secret way, the only way I would know the door was open, because I knew Butch was one of the only people there, and saw Butch, and he was sitting outside, and there was this dog with him. I'm going, oh, I would have brought Squirt if I knew it was bring your dog to work day. I could have done that. He's going, no, this dog, we don't know whose dog it is. And so we don't know. We think it's a stray. We've already gone to the shelter and they're aware of it. So I'm going, okay, So I looked at the dog and I go, okay, I'm going to bring him inside. So I brought him into my / kind of like temporary office thing, went in to get him some scrambled eggs, some bacon, sausage, figuring he looked a little hungry. So I went to, come on, how many dogs get to have big league morning spreads, especially if you're a stray, might have been booted aside and now you're eating like a big leaguer. So anyways, I fed him that and then brought him back up the Butch. So then all of a sudden, so the next day I come into work and I go through my way again, and I'm at you can't really see into where I worked at in spring training, and all of a sudden I hear this dog barking again. I'm going, how does this dog, and go out to Butch and go, Butch, what's going on? You still got Hank? He's going, yep, he's still here with us. And I'm going, why did he start barking? He goes, I don't know if even Butch is going, I don't know how he knew you were in there. The blinds are closed. But all of a sudden he started barking. I looked and I saw your car. So I figured you were inside. Hank must have known I was in there. So it was must have been time for big league spread for Hank. So anyways, fed him, and then it goes on because we would take him home. At nights in spring training, everyone would share and take him home with them. There were rumors Marcia and I were going to take him, since he'd become kind of hooked on me whenever he see me run over to me, but it was the food. It wasn't my personality, my dog personality, or that he knew that, hold on. Come on, Squirt. He had his buddy Squirt, who's still with us, who was Hank's buddy, because when Hank would come over and stay with us that night, him and Squirt would go to the park with each other. Okay, Squirt, he's going back to bed now. But anyways, Hank and him became partners, and like I said, everyone would trade off, and right now he couldn't have went Better Family. Marty Ronsky, the team lawyer, and her children took him over, and pretty cool story. But like I said, to be sitting back all of a sudden in the off season and watching some show, I forget what show, but it was the story of the year, where I'm going, wow, that's pretty impressive. But it'd be cool because Hank would come out the team stretch and do everything, would be walking. He became everyone where it came to, hey, is Hank joining us today? I'm going, I don't know, I'll go get him. So it became a pretty unique story and pretty good story.
That's awesome. And Butch, shout out to Butch for bringing him in as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was awesome for Butch. But yeah, he's always awesome. Probably still out there. Might be still right there waiting right now.
Yeah, he may or may not have tipped me off to the Hank story during spring training. So I'm glad we got to put it to bed.
Yep, very good.
Eddie, one thing I respect about you is that you're always yourself. Did that happen right away in your coaching career, or was that something that happened over time?
I don't know. I can remember a lot of, like, even when Ned and Dale brought me up in 2007, hey, be yourself here, just like you were, and everyone knows you as you. Be yourself. And like I brought up Timmy Dillard's dad, because he would even go, I know it's going to be hard because you're going from playing with these guys that now all of a sudden you're coaching them. But he would always go, hey, be yourself, because that's probably one of the reasons you got the gig. So you might as well stay with it. So I would say, yeah, I've been doing it for quite some times. Or I believe Marcia would probably say, Eddie, don't be Eddie. Don't be Eddie here. She just threw out exactly, but it was whispered, see?
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. And Eddie, as well, as you know, being positive, it's a choice. It's easy to be negative and be a victim. How do you maintain such positivity every day that you came to the ballpark?
You just do it because, well, for sure, being in the sport for as long as I've been in, I mean, there's lots of negativity in baseball. I mean, if you fail 7 out of 10 times, that means you only were positive 3 out of 10. You're an all-star in this profession. You're a 300 hitter, and that's one of the top hitters. So a lot of like I said, negativity. So you just got to teach. You try and teach the players. I brought up the positive, then negative, then always finish with the positive, no matter what. Try and put a positive moment on it, and almost no matter what you're doing, try and put a positive swing on it, because negativity, like I would always bring up, it affects the others around you, your teammates as well. So that's why I always tried to, be positive. And if people were trying to be, really negative, tried to, hey, let's get that out of their case. But they would always tease me because I go, sponge it out. You got another at bat coming around, and I would say 11 minutes. So you got to be ready for it. But so that's how I was probably brought up that way and brought up coaching that way. And a lot of people said that's the way you should just be yourself, Eddie. And that's the way I was always brought up.
But Eddie, I think that's why you lasted 30 years with one organization. Because
Does the Brewers know that? I wonder if the Brewers know that. I know, and that was with 4 different organization changes where I'm going. People would always ask, how did you last that long? And you went through 5 major league managers. I go, they probably forgot about me. And then when it came to, oh yeah, this guy, that's just bring him, we'll see what he's about and everything. So I don't know, but I did it.
Absolutely. And Eddie, you've been great. We have a couple quick hitters and then and we'll let you go.
Okay, sounds good.
First one. Who is your favorite player that you had the privilege of coaching?
Oh, I knew that. I can't answer that. There's like, come on, I would have to go from even some of the players that don't, make it to the big leagues or don't have a great career, but favorite player, I would have to say maybe it was one that right after they signed came to me, and I also spent time in the big leagues with them. So that was a hint. So that narrows it down to probably, I don't know, 89 or 90 or something like that. And every one of them had an enjoyment like, I don't know. Marcia, do you have any? That's kind of a hard question. Yeah. Like
kids, you can't have a favorite.
She said, yep, they were all like my kids. I really didn't have a favorite. They were all my favorites. Good answer, hon.
Great answer.
Yeah. Sorry, is that okay to say? I'm going, come on, you're talking Prince, Corey Hart, Ryan Braun, JJ Hart. I mean, you're talking, Christian Yelich. You're talking Lorenzo Cain, who was with us I coached in the minor leagues, left us because we had the big trade for Greinke, and then comes back to us on that 2018 team that brought back memories of when I had him in rookie ball, where I had Michael Brantley, Lorenzo Cain.
LCDs.
Yeah. And so I had a bunch of guys on that team. We won the division, but didn't win the league. So I must not have been very good. But anyways, brings up memories of that. But there's like I don't know. So I don't have a favorite. It would be like naming my favorite kid or my favorite dog. Earmuff Squirt. I do have a favorite dog.
That's fine. What about The Rock, Bill Schroeder? Do you have a favorite memory with him, or just how has he been as a friend to you?
Rock lifetime friend. I mean, I don't know. I can't remember when I met Rock, but he treated me like one of the that he had been with all of his Brewer career. He is he is probably one of the best personalities in baseball. I think he just had his 30-year in the booth, played on had some big time moments as a Brewer in a uniform, still does this fantasy thing, to bring up favorite stories. I don't know, or do we have favorite? I don't know if I can I say those things? I don't know. There's the story he has in his book that's in the book, but I don't want to bring it up on the thing. But love Rock. I still do things with him today. There's another thing, many great stories. I don't know if there's a one, our bus rides, on the even landing, team bus lands at a town that we're going to play in, on the bus rides heading back, where they talked about me being the DJ. I play the music for the coach's bus, and I don't know, just as something as simple as the bus rides, still having fun, the plane rides, playing cards. Mm-hmm. I mean, Rock was always a part of them ever since I was a Brewer in the big leagues as well as a Brewer in the minor leagues. Rock's been a part of it. So yeah, Rock, I consider a good friend. As far as a particular story that I can share, you'll have to look in his book. There was a good one with me and Dale in his book. For all you listeners out there, go and see Rock. And if you listen, Rock, I'm plugging the book. So in case you want to send me some of the proceeds.
We'll have to work on the contract negotiations
There
after.
you go. Yeah, have it with Rock. Just let them know I plugged them.
Absolutely. And also, you've been an advisor with the Brewers. Now you transitioned to a new role, but also you're down in Florida now. How has kind of the retirement life been treating you?
Retirement life's great. Imagine in Florida, when we're in Florida, very busy schedule. Working out with Marsha 2 or 3 times a week, and then pickleball on the 3 times a week. So when we're in Florida, we have a pretty big schedule. Plus, then again, I mentioned I'm a scratch golfer, as if you were listening for the whole thing. So I still do golfing, but we're really busy in Florida. When we come up here, we have our place up on Mirror Lake, where we're still getting it all settled, right across from the Ishnala Supper Club. So there's another plug in case we go out. So just in case they want to send over a free dinner or something. But anyway, so we keep pretty busy here. We haven't golfing. We play pickleball, working out. Beaver CrossFit in Reedsburg. We go there to work out twice a week, where they just kick my butt, and it's unbelievable. But anyways, we keep very busy, where you would think retirement, you're sitting back, not doing much. What am I going to do today? I never have to worry about what I'm going to do today. It's all planned out with a lot of fun things, with a lot of fun people.
What do you miss most about kind of coaching side of it?
Probably the camaraderie with the coaches as well as the players. Maybe not the practices or the games, just sitting in the lunchroom, just chilling out, or sitting back with Jason Chager in the equipment room, just watching him, just trying to rattle his chain, which is kind of hard to do since Jason does everything as far as equipment goes. So he is a very busy man. So when he sees me walk in his office, he's probably going, "Oh God." But anyways, just the little things like that, or like you even brought up, Brandon and Chris, the air horn, just going in, trying to plan on the air horn event of the day, just the little things, not so much. Yeah, it's fun. The practices, throwing BP every day, and the games, of course, stressful, unstressful, but just with the coaches, with the players, before all that happens, just all the things that you do before the stuff that you see on the field.
And we talked about baking before. What's your favorite food or meal to eat?
Favorite food or meal to eat? We're going to turn this one over to Marsha, because she would know. Favorite food or meal to eat, hon?
When you were playing?
No, that you sometimes have to prepare for me. You guys are getting a profile as I looked. Rock and BA would always talk about me having the best profile in baseball. One more time, you're getting it right here. Why, Marsha? I can't. That's what they would love saying.
We like to go to Kimberly.
We have a favorite place. Kimberly's here. What about in Florida, hon? I would say any kind of food would be my favorite. So, and the baking, when Marsha bakes her chocolate chip Kahlua cake, is it's moist. It has a frosting on the top. I'm trying to think of a food that I would. Marsh, come on. Yeah, she's trying to think of one I don't like to bring up instead of one I do like. But my favorite chocolate chip Kahlua cake, even though all of her baking is pretty good. I'm trying to think of all kinds of food. I'm going with all kinds of food. I don't think there's a food that I dislike. I'm not much into the steaks and stuff like that, since when I was growing up, Dad was a fireman. And we lived next door to Jack's Meat Market, the big meat market in Illinois, where we lived in Waukegan. And we'd have steaks and all that almost like all the time. So I kind of grew apart from steaks, since you had it every day growing up practically. But favorite, I don't know. We'll have to get back. I'm trying to think as I go right now.
Chocolate cake's a good answer, though, as a dessert.
Yeah, I would go. Okay, then we're going with that as my favorite meal, the Kahlua chocolate chip cake. as my favorite meal. I'm going with it, Brandon. Great
Good.
idea.
Thank you. And my actual final one, top 3, and this might be tough, like you said before, trying to pick players. Top 3 music artists or bands that you like to listen to.
Top 3 music artists or bands.
What are you always asking for at the gym?
Yeah, what am I? Luther Vandross. I'm always asking Luther Vandross at the gym in Florida. This because he's an ex Navy SEAL, but she's our instructor. She's going, no, we're not doing Luther, Eddie. I'm going, okay. So I don't get to have Luther. Come on, hon. I love all kinds of music, so that makes it kind of hard. What was I listening today as I rode to the park? Let's go with Marsha. Come on. Oh, yeah, for sure. Almost all kinds of country. I've been invited to go to Country in the Burb, that in the Berg that's coming up in Cedarburg. But country, okay, if I were to ask for, let me sleep on it, babies, let me sleep on it. What song's that? Let me sleep on it. I'll give you an answer in the morning.
I'm gonna have to turn to Marsha for that.
I don't know right now. Let me sleep on it. Nothing. I've already seen my top. I'm sorry, Brandon, with these off the top of my head.
Well, that's okay. They're tough questions. They're meant to be quick.
But you got me to sing, so that's pretty good. You got
That's
me to
great.
sing. As I'm going on, I'll think of some more. I'm thinking Keith Anderson, but that's just because he was probably not well known or whatever, but I went to when our team was in Nashville. J.R. Ronaldo, our equipment guy, took me to Nashville, and I got to be on stage with this Keith Anderson guy. But I don't. Meatloaf. Marcia says that was Meatloaf I just sang. And let me sleep on it one.
And that could be your favorite meal. It's a dual answer.
There you go. Meatloaf. Yeah, it could be my favorite song, and then my favorite meal. Meatloaf with chocolate chip. Yeah, chocolate chip Kahlua cake as a backup.
Yes.
So now that we have the food and the artist as well.
Some. I probably really blew the artist off. Brian, that was a long question. You can, you're gone, Eddie. But I'd maybe go with Luther. Yeah, because you know what? Yeah, I got our little R&B in me, I would say.
Absolutely.
Like
and so if you could have dinner with 4 people, including your other than yourself, dead or alive, who would you like to sit at that table with you? Could be anybody.
I would go with Marsha.
Brownie points.
But of course, alive. So Squirt doesn't count either.
Squirt can be he can be a +1.
To sit down and have a meal with. I'm just sitting out here because I'm look up and look at a picture of Marsha at her office has a picture of Muhammad Ali and I were on. Am I sitting on his lap? No, I'm just sitting with my arm around him next to him, but it almost looked like I was sitting on his lap. I don't know, because there's so many people. I mean, come on, I've had dinner sitting with Bob Euchre, Robin Yount, and everything, just sitting at a meal with his wife, Judy, and Marsha. Oh, that's 5 people. It isn't including me. So I went 4, including me. But with so many people, I've just been so honored to have dinner with just even the people, like I said, with Euchre and Judy, his wife, and Robin. I mean, so many people I've been able to do stuff with, like looking up, having a picture sitting with Muhammad Ali, Hank Aaron. There's one with Hank Aaron and I had one little thing. So I've done actually, what, hon? Oh, yeah. Marcia says I would definitely, because my mom left me at a younger age. So probably maybe my mom with like Euchre and Robin, and just to see what I did and, through her guidance when I was little. Probably that was a good one, Marsha. And yeah, very good one. Tip your hat there. And yeah, so that's a good one. Maybe my mom sitting down with like the Euchre and the Robin and just the people that I've got to meet during my baseball career, which is kind of a pretty cool thing.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've been able to see a lot of people throughout your career. And the last question we have, so after being on the show, who would you like to see on here next? And before you answer, it would be awesome if you could help facilitate them to be on the show.
You know what? You brought them up. And if people are Brewer people, let's go with Rock. And I can get Rock. I'll give you I'll go out with his number over the air right now. You ready, Rock? Just kidding, Rock. Yep, but we can hook up. While I ask Rock if he'd be interested. I'll ask him if I can give you, give you his number, then see what he says. But I'm sure Rock would do, especially if Timmy's been on it, right?
Yep.
Timmy and Vinny.
Oh, Timmy and Vinny, we'll triple team Rock. Get him to be on your thing if you guys would want him. Did Tim Dillard do a thing where he impersonated me at all on your show?
I don't know if we did you. I'm trying to remember. We did it a couple months back now, so I'm trying to recall.
Okay. Because he likes doing that, because he thinks he's got my voice and mannerisms down. So maybe if you see him, ask him. And I'm sure Vinny probably has a couple stories too.
Oh yeah,
about me. Vinny played for me as well as Timmy, so I'm sure they were probably pretty good ones.
Of course.
But yeah, let's go with Rock. What do you think about Rock?
Done deal. 30 Rock last week. It was absolutely electric to watch. It'd be amazing to have him on.
Yeah, it would be probably a pretty, maybe. Yeah, so I'll start, maybe get with Tim and get with Vinny, and let's get the ball rolling.
Let's go.
That'd be awesome.
We'll get the group chat started.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, Eddie, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate you taking the time. This was amazing.
Nope, this was fun. You guys have fun and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Ed. Good to talk to you.
Yep. Hopefully I'll be able to get off this now, Chris, where you won't have or see me for anymore.
Ed, who knows? You might be on the podcast for life now after this.
There's a chance, because Marcia set all this up, because I am incapable.
Thank you, Marcia.
She says thanks. You're welcome, she says. All right, guys. See you later.
Thank you again.
Thanks, Eddie.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.